Hey guys, welcome to another Loomian Legacy video. I know I haven't posted in a while, but here I am once more. I'm going to try and post a few more from now on, so expect more videos in the future. I'm aiming to start a new series, Loomian Legacy Tri-Threat, which is a series about the three core gameplay mechanics of competitive Loomian Legacy: team building, team preview, and battling. I've chosen team preview for the first because I feel like it's the most important. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the most game changing, but it's the one that me and other new players get wrong. So, that's enough about the series. Let's get straight on to the video. Also, this is my first time using my voice. So, hi guys. So, this leads directly from the team building section of the series, although I've neglected it for now. After building a team you're happy with, it's very incentivized you play with that team in some battles. Even if you borrow a team, it's in your best interest to practice with it. Now, your team isn't the only one in the team preview. You also have your opponent's team. This is probably the main part of the team preview section, and outside of battling, it's probably the most random variable for you to deal with. Anyways, your opponent's team can make or break your game. For example, look at this matchup. Who do you think is starting in a winning position? Just from the matchup here. If you guessed our team, you would be correct. If you would notice, this is a rain team, which only has two ways to deal with Venusaur, which is Cephalops, who we have restrictive shield Parasol in the back for, and Beneki, who also gets taken out by Parasol and Morphezu. The rest of the team has at least two Loomians that can deal with it, leading to a good matchup. Now, for our next matchup, what player looks better off here? This was a trick question. The matchup here is pretty even. Gargoyle attack is extremely scary, but can be played around with good placement and two priority users in Ursa and Valkyrie. Chartiki is scary for Valkyrie and Ursa though, but Morphezu and Venusaur scare it back. Leviatros has the deficit of being pretty weak without specialty gloves, which lets us play around it well. Tyrex is bad into our team, due to us having 3 Loomians to deal with it, and so on. Lots of matches will play like this. Good gameplay equals a win, which is why it's so important to learn the fundamentals of battling. Now, the problem is your opponent isn't forced to lose your team, or bring a Loomian that trouses your team to every battle you will ever play. If they were, it'd be like a game of rock, paper, scissors. Team preview is like a magnifying glass if you really insist on giving it a comparison. If you bring the right Loomians, you can pinpoint a win. But if you don't, for example, if I was to leave Parasol and Venusaur behind, things wouldn't be impossible, but they'd be a lot harder. Like flipping the magnifying glass over to make stuff look further away and harder to see. Now, the reason we can say matchups are good or bad is because you're able to pinpoint threats on both teams. For example, going back to that first matchup, we can analyse that Venusaur is a threat to our opponent. This is what it means to pinpoint threats, seeing what you and your opponent are scared of on your opponent's team, and your own. The problem with this is set variety. If your opponent brings Himbar, who has 2 popular sets, restrictive shield and specialty gloves, you're forced to account for both, which both have different answers. For example, Protagon beats Gloves Himbar, but loses to Shield. This is why scouting for opponent sets is so valuable, because you can't be sure what they're running, but that's saved to the battling video. Another thing you want to pinpoint is typings. If you don't have an earth type, electric types will be a problem, and if you don't have a plant type, light types will be a problem. Naturally, it's up to the team building to account for these, but you should always do that, especially if you didn't add those typings to your team. Now, it's time for everything we've covered this video to be put to action. Just to cover this quickly, in every battle, you bring 7 Loomians total to Team Preview, but only 5 to battle. This is why Team Preview is so important, because it's so easy to mess up completely. If you forget to account for something, it's an auto loss. If the matchup is horrendous, it's an auto loss. Your job in Team Preview is to maximise your winning chances and minimise your ability to lose. Your lead is probably one of the most important factors to determining a battle. Even if you don't have a designated lead Loomian, it's so important to at least build with something that can lead. But you shouldn't lead it every time. Account for your opponent's team. If your lead is, for example, Boots Phagenal, and they have a Bonecki, you should think twice about leading it, because Bonecki just shuts down your pivot and damage potential almost completely. Now, going back once more to the first matchup, using everything we've learned, what do you need to account for, and what do you need to bring? Well, there's no perfect 5 Loomians here, but if you said anything along the lines of Venusaur, Parasol, Morphezu, Garbantis, in no specific order, with Venusaur as the lead, you would be correct, or somewhat. Weather teams almost always want to lead with their setter to enable other Loomians, so it's a good idea to try and punish this. Naturally, your opponent could lead Bonecki to counter this, but if you bring Morphezu or Parasol, you have an almost completely safe swap. But you should always try to bring multiple ways to deal with threats to your win condition, Venusaur in this case, like Morphezu or Parasol for Bonecki. If there's something else, like Cephalops, you need to conserve HP on something for, like Parasol in this instance, you can swap into your other Loomian, which is Morphezu, and eat the hit instead of Parasol, having to carry the team on its back, or Umbrella in this case. Anyways, that's it for the Team Preview set of Tri-Threat. If you watched this far, first of all, thank you for supporting this type of content. I want to make more analytical style videos in the future, and you watching this far is a sign I'm doing something right. This video isn't as in-depth as I wanted it to be, but I mostly want to cover the fundamentals in this series, and do a deep dive series later in the future when Route 9 comes out and all the meta shifts happen. But regardless of that, that's all for the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!